The Galactic Council chamber was one of the oldest places in the known galaxy. The massive station floated in deep space, far from any star. Its metal walls had seen thousands of years of galactic history. Inside the chamber, hundreds of alien leaders sat in long, curved rows. Each species had its own section. Tall, insect-like diplomats stood on thin legs. Massive reptilian commanders rested on heavy armored chairs. Small floating beings hovered above glowing platforms. Every empire in the galaxy had a voice here, and today they were all discussing one subject: humanity. In the center of the chamber, a giant hologram appeared. A small blue planet rotated slowly in the light: Earth. Some council members laughed quietly. To most of the galaxy, humans were still considered a young species. Too emotional, too divided, too unpredictable. For centuries, humans had been learning the rules of the wider galaxy. They traded with other species. They explored nearby systems. They even helped defend trade routes against pirates. But now things were changing. Human colonies were spreading faster than before. Human fleets were growing larger. Their technology was improving at a surprising speed. Some empires had started to worry. A tall alien from the Tharvian Empire slowly stood. His long silver robe touched the floor as he spoke. "Humanity expands too quickly," he said in a calm voice. The chamber grew quiet. "They are young," he continued. "Young species should grow slowly, carefully." Several leaders nodded. The Tharvian ambassador raised one long finger. "But humans do not move carefully." Another hologram appeared beside Earth. Dozens of human colonies appeared across nearby star systems. Trade routes stretched farther and farther into unexplored space. "They are spreading faster than most civilizations ever have," the ambassador said. Another voice joined the discussion. This one came from the military leader of the Korvac Dominion. The Korvac were known across the galaxy for their powerful fleets. "We have monitored human shipyards," the Korvac commander said. "Production has doubled in the last 10 cycles." A wave of quiet whispers moved through the council chamber. Doubling fleet production was not a small thing. That meant more warships, more defenses, more power. The Korvac commander looked around the room. "A young species building fleets. This quickly creates instability." Another council member spoke. "What do the humans intend to do with such power?" No one answered, because no one truly knew. Human diplomacy had always been unusual. They were friendly, but unpredictable. Sometimes they helped weaker species without asking for payment. Sometimes they fought wars that were not even theirs. And sometimes they ignored council advice completely. The Tharvian ambassador raised his hand again. "The council must maintain stability," he said. "Therefore, I propose new regulations for humanity." The hologram changed again. 3 rules appeared in bright light. Human fleets must be reduced. Human shipyards must be inspected. Human colonial expansion must stop immediately. Silence filled the chamber. Some leaders looked uncertain. Others looked satisfied. Finally, the council leader spoke. An ancient being whose species had ruled the council for thousands of years. "The vote will begin." One by one, lights appeared across the chamber. Green lights meant approval. Red lights meant rejection. Within seconds, the result was clear. The decision had passed. Humanity would receive a formal warning. The council would limit their expansion. The message was prepared immediately. A long diplomatic transmission was sent across the galaxy toward human space. The message was clear. Human fleets must be reduced. Human shipyards would be inspected. Human expansion must stop. The council waited. Normally a message like this would cause many reactions: protests, diplomatic requests, negotiations, sometimes even anger. But hours passed. Nothing happened. One day passed. Still nothing. The human governments did not reply. No diplomatic ships arrived. No emergency messages were sent. The council grew confused. A junior communications officer checked the systems again. The message was delivered, he confirmed. Another day passed. Still nothing. Now the chamber was filled with quiet discussion. "This is strange. Why are they silent? Do they not understand the message?" A Korvac military advisor leaned forward. "Perhaps they are afraid." Some leaders nodded slowly. It would not be the first time a young species panicked after a council decision. But then something unexpected happened. Far away from the council station, a small alien patrol fleet was moving near the edge of human space. The patrol belonged to a neutral trading alliance. Their mission was simple: monitor traffic and protect trade routes. One of their sensor officers suddenly froze. "Commander," the officer said slowly, "you need to see this." The patrol commander walked over to the scanning station. "What is it?" The officer pointed to the screen. "Human shipyard, Sector 12. The commander looked carefully. The massive orbital shipyard floated near our human colony world. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The docks were empty, completely empty. No construction ships, no warships waiting for repair, no cargo traffic, nothing. The commander frowned. "That cannot be correct." The officer checked the sensors again. "It is correct," he said quietly. The commander looked closer. One of the largest human shipyards in the region was completely abandoned. No ships, no workers, no activity. The patrol commander felt a strange unease. "Check the other shipyards," he ordered. The sensors scanned nearby systems. One by one, the results appeared, and every result showed the same thing: empty docks, silent stations, missing fleets. The officer slowly turned toward the commander. His voice was quiet. "Commander, where did all the human ships go?" The patrol immediately sent a message to the Galactic Council. When the report arrived, the council chamber became silent again. The report contained only one short sentence, but it made every leader in the chamber feel uneasy. Human shipyards are empty, and no one in the galaxy knew where the fleets had gone. The Galactic Council chamber became completely silent. The patrol report floated in the center of the room as a glowing hologram. Only one sentence was written on the screen: "Human shipyards are empty." At first, many council members thought it was a mistake. Shipyards did not become empty without reason, especially not human shipyards. Human industry was famous across the galaxy. Their docks were always full of activity: construction drones, cargo ships, warships waiting for upgrades. But now, everything was gone. The Korvac Dominion commander leaned forward. "Perhaps the patrol sensors are malfunctioning." The council leader nodded. "That is possible." Another report arrived, then another, all from different patrol fleets near human territory. Every report said the same thing: human shipyards were empty, human docks were silent, human fleets were gone. A strange feeling spread through the council chamber: unease, confusion, concern. The Tharvian ambassador spoke again. Where did the fleets go? No one had an answer. A Korvac military officer activated a star map. Human space appeared as a glowing region on the hologram. Normally, thousands of ship signals would appear across that map: trade ships, defense fleets, patrol groups. But now the map looked quiet, too quiet. The signals were gone. One of the council analysts spoke. "Human civilian traffic has also decreased." The chamber became even quieter. Civilian ships disappearing was unusual. Warships moving was normal during military exercises. But when civilian traffic stopped too, that meant something bigger was happening. The Korvac commander crossed his arms. This could mean mobilization. Several council members looked at him. "Mobilization?" one asked. "Yes," the commander said. "A full fleet movement." The Tharvian ambassador shook his head. "That would be impossible." "Why?" the Korvac commander asked. "Because humans are not at war." The chamber filled with quiet murmurs. That was true. The humans had no enemies, no wars, no conflicts, at least not officially. Another message arrived from the patrol fleet. This one was longer. The council read it carefully. The patrol had moved deeper toward human territory. They had scanned 3 additional systems. All results were the same. Human stations were active. Human colonies were functioning normally. But the fleets were still missing. The patrol commander added a personal note: "Human civilians appear calm. No panic detected." That detail confused the council even more. If a fleet disappeared suddenly, most civilizations would panic. Trade would stop. Emergency broadcasts would fill the communication channels. But none of that was happening. Human space remained peaceful, normal, calm. Too calm. A young council analyst raised his hand. "There is another strange detail." The council leader looked at him. "Explain." The analyst brought up another star map. This one showed deep space, far beyond the normal borders of civilization. Most species did not explore these regions. They were empty, cold, dangerous. The analyst pointed to several points on the map. Our long-range sensors detected unusual energy readings here. Several council members leaned closer. What kind of readings? The analyst hesitated. Large engine signatures. The room became silent again. Large? The Korvac commander asked. Yes. How large? The analyst looked nervous. Bigger than any known fleet movement. A ripple of tension moved through the chamber. That is impossible, one diplomat said. No empire could move that many ships without being detected. But the analyst shook his head. The signals are real. He zoomed the map closer. The signals appeared as faint pulses of light, moving slowly through deep space, all moving in the same direction, away from human territory. The Korvac commander leaned forward again, tracked the direction. The analyst adjusted the sensors. After several seconds, the path became clear. The signals were heading toward a region of space that almost no one visited, a dark area between several ancient star clusters. The Tharvian ambassador frowned. That region is empty. The analyst nodded. Yes, nothing is there. Another council member spoke. Then why would humans send fleets there? No one answered. The Korvac commander slowly stood. His deep voice echoed through the chamber. This is not a retreat. The council looked at him. This is preparation. The council leader narrowed his eyes. For what? Before the commander could answer, another alert appeared on the hologram. This message came directly from the patrol fleet. The commander of the patrol looked shaken. His voice recording played in the chamber. We followed one of the human signals. The room was silent as everyone listened. We expected to find a fleet, but what we discovered, he paused. Even in the recording, his voice sounded uneasy. Was not a fleet. The council leaned closer. What did you find? The council leader asked quietly. The patrol commander continued. Our sensors detected a massive structure in deep space. The hologram changed. An image appeared. At first, it looked like a small star. But when the sensor zoomed closer, the council gasped. It was not a star. It was a shipyard. A gigantic one. Larger than any construction facility known in the galaxy. The structure stretched across thousands of kilometers. Hundreds of construction platforms surrounded it. And everywhere, human ships. Thousands of them. Some were still being built. Others were already finished. Warships. Massive warships. Ships far larger than anything the council had ever seen. The patrol commander's voice grew quiet again. We do not believe this is the only shipyard. The council leader slowly stood. What do you mean? The patrol commander answered. Our scanners show more signals in nearby systems. Many more. The room felt colder. How many? Someone asked. The patrol commander hesitated. Then he said the words that would soon spread fear across the galaxy. We believe humanity has been building fleets in deep space for years. The chamber was completely silent. No one spoke. No one moved. Because everyone in that room suddenly understood something terrible. The council had tried to control humanity. They had tried to limit human expansion, but humanity had not stopped growing. They had simply moved their growth somewhere else, somewhere hidden, somewhere secret. And now, no one knew how powerful those hidden fleets had become. One council member whispered softly, "What have we done?" But the Korvac commander already knew the answer. He looked at the map of human space, then at the massive hidden shipyard. His voice was low. We made a mistake. Then he added the words that would soon haunt the entire galaxy. A very fatal mistake. The discovery of the hidden shipyard shocked the Galactic Council. For a long moment, no one spoke. The massive hologram of the human structure floated in the center of the chamber. It was enormous. Construction platforms surrounded the main frame like a metal forest. Hundreds of half-built warships were attached to the structure. Some were still dark and unfinished. Others were glowing with power. And behind them, more ships waited, thousands. No empire in the galaxy had ever built fleets like this. The Korvac Dominion commander stared at the image with narrowed eyes. These are not normal warships, he said slowly. The council leader looked at him. What do you mean? The commander pointed at the largest vessel in the hologram. That ship is larger than our capital cruisers. The council chamber became restless. Korvac cruisers were among the most powerful ships in the galaxy, but the human warship in the image was even bigger. Long, sharp, dark. Its shape looked like a giant blade drifting through space. And this was only one ship, among many. The patrol fleet commander continued his report. We tried to move closer to the shipyard, but human defense drones stopped us. The council listened carefully. They did not attack us, he added. They simply blocked our path. Another officer in the patrol fleet spoke through the transmission. The drones were advanced, extremely advanced. How advanced? The council leader asked. The officer hesitated. We could not detect their power source. That answer created another wave of whispers inside the chamber. Every known civilization used similar types of reactors: fusion, antimatter, dark energy. But these drones showed none of those signals. The Korvac commander leaned forward again. Did you detect weapon systems? Yes, the officer replied. What type? Another pause. We do not know. The council leader frowned. You do not know. The officer nodded slowly. Our sensors could not identify the weapon technology. That answer made the room even more uncomfortable. Across thousands of years of galactic history, most weapon systems followed similar patterns: laser arrays, missile platforms, particle cannons. But if the patrol fleet could not even recognize the weapon type, that meant human technology had moved far beyond what the galaxy understood. The patrol commander continued his report. There is something else. The council leader looked up. Explain. The commander brought up another image. This one showed the inside of the massive shipyard. Several human warships were leaving their docks. Slowly, silently, their engines glowed with a deep blue light, but something about them felt wrong. The ships moved too smoothly, too quietly. Normally, large warships created strong energy waves when they activated engines, but these ships barely disturbed space at all. The patrol officer whispered softly. They move like shadows. The Korvac commander studied the image carefully. How many ships have left the shipyard? He asked. The patrol commander answered immediately. Hundreds. Another officer added quietly. And more are leaving every minute. The council chamber fell silent again. Hundreds of unknown warships, powered by unknown technology, built in secret for years, moving into deep space. The council leader slowly stood, tracked their destination. The patrol fleet adjusted their sensors. For several minutes, they followed the faint engine signals. Finally, the answer appeared. The ships were not traveling toward any known empire. They were not heading toward trade routes. They were not moving toward human colonies. They were moving somewhere else, toward the very center of the galaxy, a cold region filled with old stars and ancient ruins, a place where many civilizations had disappeared long ago. The Korvac commander crossed his arms. This is a fleet movement. But why? Another council member asked. The commander looked at the map. Because humans expect something. What? The commander did not answer immediately. Instead, he studied the movement patterns of the ships. They were spreading across deep space, like a giant net slowly expanding. Then he spoke quietly. They are preparing for war. The chamber reacted instantly. But humans have no enemies. Who would attack them? This makes no sense. The Korvac commander raised his hand. Perhaps the enemy is not attacking yet. The room went quiet again. Another council member spoke. Then who is the enemy? Before anyone could answer, another emergency signal appeared. This one came from a different patrol fleet, a fleet stationed far beyond human territory, near the dark border of the galaxy. The transmission opened immediately. The alien officer on screen looked frightened. Council, we have detected unknown ships. The council leader leaned forward. Describe them. They matched the human ships from the hidden shipyard. The chamber became tense. How many? The Korvac commander asked. The officer checked his sensors. Then he spoke. Thousands. Gasps echoed to the chamber. Thousands of warships. And they were already far from human space. The officer continued speaking quickly. They appeared without warning. No warp signals. No hyperspace trails. They simply arrived. The Korvac commander looked very serious now. Did they attack? The officer shook his head. No. Then what are they doing? The officer slowly turned his sensors toward the dark region of space ahead of them. His voice dropped to a whisper. They are waiting. The council leader frowned. Waiting for what? The officer zoomed the sensors deeper into the darkness. At first, the screen showed nothing, just empty space, cold stars, ancient dust clouds. Then the sensors detected something enormous, something moving slowly through the darkness. The officer's voice trembled. Council, I think the humans already knew this was coming. The chamber grew silent. The council leader spoke slowly. What is coming? The officer looked at the sensor readings again. His answer sent a chill through every leader in the galaxy, something that even humans prepared their fleets to fight. And suddenly the council understood something terrifying. Human fleets had not disappeared in fear. They had disappeared in preparation, because humanity knew a war was coming. A war the rest of the galaxy did not even see yet, and now the humans were already waiting for it. The Galactic Council chamber was quieter than it had ever been. The hologram in the center of the room showed the dark edge of the galaxy. Cold stars glowed weakly in the distance. A thin cloud of ancient dust moved slowly through space. And somewhere inside that darkness, something was moving. The patrol officer's voice continued through the transmission. Our sensors are detecting a large mass. The council leader leaned forward. How large? The officer looked at the readings again. Then he answered carefully. Larger than any fleet we have ever recorded. The room grew tense. Another council member spoke nervously. Is it a fleet? The officer shook his head. We do not believe so. Then what is it? The council leader asked. The officer hesitated before answering. We think it is a formation. The sensor zoomed closer. The hologram showed thousands of faint shapes moving together through deep space. But these shapes did not move like normal ships. They moved slowly, almost like drifting shadows, and they were spreading across a massive area of space. The Korvac Dominion commander studied the image carefully. His eyes narrowed. I have seen movement patterns like this before. The council leader looked at him. Where? In ancient war archives, the commander said quietly. The chamber became very still. The Korvac were one of the oldest military civilizations in the galaxy. Their historical records were older than most star empires. The council leader asked slowly, what kind of enemy uses formations like that? The commander answered in a low voice, an enemy that does not fear death. That sentence made the chamber uneasy. Meanwhile, far from the council station, the alien patrol fleet was watching the darkness carefully. Their sensors continued scanning the unknown formation. More details slowly appeared on their screens, and what they saw made their fear grow. These were ships, but they did not look like normal ships. They had strange shapes, long black holes, sharp edges. Some looked almost alive. None of them showed standard engine signal. None of them used normal power systems. They simply moved through space like silent predators. The patrol commander whispered, what are these things? One of his sensor officers answered quietly, I do not know, but they are not from any empire in the galaxy. Suddenly, another signal appeared on their sensors. A fleet, a very large fleet, approaching from the opposite direction. The officer checked the signal again. Then his eyes widened. Commander, what? It's the humans. The patrol commander looked at the screen. Thousands of human warships were arriving from deep space. The ships were massive. Dark holes reflected the faint light of distant stars. Some ships were larger than entire cities, and they were moving in perfect formation. The human fleet slowly spread across the dark region of space, positioning themselves between the patrol fleet and the unknown enemy. The patrol commander realized something immediately. The humans were not surprised by this enemy. They had come here on purpose. One of the officers spoke softly. They were waiting. The human ships began activating their systems. Blue light spread across their hulls. Energy shields formed around them. Weapon systems powered up. But the most frightening thing was their silence. No panic. No rushed movements. Every ship moved with calm precision, like soldiers who had trained for this moment for a very long time. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the transmission from the patrol fleet continued. The council watched everything, every movement, every signal, and slowly, a terrible truth began to form. Humanity had known about this enemy for years, maybe even longer. One council member whispered, "Is this why their fleets disappeared?" The Korvac commander nodded slowly. "Yes." Another council member spoke with growing fear, "And we tried to limit their fleets." The chamber became silent again because everyone now understood something terrible. While the council had been arguing about human expansion, humanity had been preparing for a war that could threaten the entire galaxy. The patrol fleet sensors suddenly flashed red. The unknown formation was getting closer, much closer, and now the alien ships could finally see them clearly. Thousands. No, millions. Millions of dark ships were moving together through the cold emptiness of space. The patrol commander felt his voice shake. "That is not a fleet. It is an invasion. The human fleet immediately reacted. The largest human warship moved forward. Its hull was enormous, almost 10 kilometers long. The patrol fleet could feel the energy building inside its weapons. Then something unexpected happened. A signal appeared across every communication channel. It was a human transmission. Short, clear, calm. The message was sent to every ship in the region, to the patrol fleet, to the Galactic Council, to anyone listening. The human message said only one sentence. We warned the council not to interfere. The council chamber froze. One of the diplomats whispered, they knew this would happen. The human transmission continued. For centuries, humanity has defended the outer dark. The council members stared at each other. Outer dark? The message finished with one final sentence. Now you will finally understand why. At that exact moment, the first enemy ships reached the human defensive line, and the largest human warship fired its weapons. The light was blinding. Space itself seemed to bend. A massive beam of energy crossed the darkness, and when it hit the enemy fleet, hundreds of dark ships simply disappeared. Not destroyed, not damaged. They vanished completely. The patrol fleet watched in shock. One officer whispered, "What kind of weapon was that?" But the human fleet did not stop. Thousands of human warships began firing together. Blue beams, strange gravity pulses, explosions of dark energy. Entire sections of the enemy fleet vanished in seconds. The battle had begun, and the galaxy was finally seeing the true power of humanity. The battle at the edge of the galaxy had already begun. The human fleet held a long defensive line across the cold darkness of space. Thousands of massive warships floated in perfect formation. Their weapons burned with blue light as they fired again and again. Every time the weapons struck the enemy ships, entire groups of them vanished. Not destroyed, not broken, simply erased from space, but the enemy kept coming. Millions of dark ships moved forward like a black ocean spreading across the stars. The alien patrol fleet watched the battle from a safe distance. Their sensors struggled to understand what they were seeing. Human ships moved with perfect coordination. When one ship fired, another moved to cover it. When an enemy wave approached, the human fleet adjusted their formation instantly. It looked less like chaos and more like a carefully planned defense. Inside the patrol fleet command room, the officers were silent. One of them whispered quietly, "How long have the humans been preparing for this?" No one answered, because the answer was becoming clear. A very long time. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the leaders of the galaxy watched the battle through the patrol fleet's transmission. No one spoke. For centuries, the council believed they understood humanity. Young, emotional, unstable. But what they were seeing now showed a very different truth. Human warships were stronger than any fleet in the galaxy. Their weapons used technology no one had ever seen before, and their formations showed discipline beyond anything the council expected. The Korvac Dominion commander stood quietly with his arms crossed. He watched the battle very carefully. Finally, he spoke. "This is not their first battle." Several council members looked at him. "What do you mean?" one asked. The commander pointed toward the human formations. "Look at their movements. They are not reacting to the enemy. They are predicting them." The chamber grew silent. The commander continued. "Every maneuver, every attack, every defense, it is already planned." The council leader frowned. But how could they plan for an enemy they have never seen before? The Korvac commander slowly turned toward the council. "Because they have seen them before." The words felt heavy in the chamber. Another council member spoke nervously. "That is impossible." But before the commander could answer, another human message appeared across the communication network. This time it was longer. The message came from the command ship leading the human fleet. The transmission spread across the council chamber. A calm human voice began to speak. "For hundreds of years, humanity has explored the outer regions of the galaxy." The council listened carefully. "We discovered something long ago." The human voice continued. "Beyond the borders of civilization, there is something else." The hologram changed. Ancient star maps appeared, regions marked in red. These areas were sealed by human patrols. The council members looked at each other in confusion. None of those regions had ever appeared in council records. The human voice continued. "We believed the galaxy was not ready to know." The patrol fleet officers leaned closer to their screens. The human voice explained further. "The enemy you see today is not new. They have attacked the galaxy before. The council chamber erupted with quiet whispers. Before, when? The human voice answered the unspoken question. Thousands of years ago, a new hologram appeared. Ancient ruins, dead planets, star systems that no longer had life. These systems were destroyed during their last invasion. The council members looked shocked. Many of those star systems were ancient mysteries, civilizations that had disappeared without explanation. The human voice continued. Human explorers discovered the truth. The enemy returns in cycles. The Korvac commander slowly nodded. That explains the ruins, he said quietly. The human message continued. For centuries, humanity has fought them in secret. The chamber fell silent again. Human fleets appeared on the hologram, battles in dark regions of space, explosions near dead stars, human ships fighting massive waves of the enemy. The voice spoke calmly. We believed we could hold the line alone, but your decision forced our fleets to reveal themselves. The council leader lowered his head slightly because he understood what that meant. The council's attempt to control humanity had exposed the secret war. Another council member spoke quietly. You protected the galaxy without telling anyone. The human voice answered, yes. Meanwhile, the battle continued outside. The human fleet fired another wave of powerful weapons. Entire sections of the enemy formation collapsed, but the enemy kept moving forward. More ships arrived from the darkness, millions more. The patrol commander looked terrified. There are too many. One of the officers asked, can the humans stop them? The commander did not answer immediately. Instead, he watched the largest human warship at the center of the defensive line. That ship had not fired yet. It simply waited. Energy continued building inside its core. The patrol sensors could barely measure the power level. It was enormous. Back in the council chamber, the human voice spoke one final time. For centuries, humanity protected the galaxy from the darkness beyond. The council members listened quietly. But now the galaxy will see the war we have fought alone. At that exact moment, the massive human flagship finally activated its main weapon. The patrol sensors screamed warnings. Space itself seemed to twist around the ship. A sphere of blue energy formed in front of the weapon, growing larger, brighter, more powerful. The patrol commander whispered, what is that weapon? No one knew, but everyone in the galaxy was about to find out, because the human flagship had just begun to fire. The massive human flagship floated at the center of the defensive line. Around it, thousands of human warships continued fighting the dark enemy fleet. Blue beams crossed the cold space again and again. Explosions of strange energy tore through the invading ships, but the enemy kept coming. Millions of dark vessels moved forward like a living storm. The alien patrol fleet watched from far away, their sensors struggling to measure the growing energy around the human flagship. The patrol commander stared at the screen. That energy level is impossible, he whispered. The ship's sensors began warning them again and again. The weapon charging inside the human flagship was beyond anything they had ever seen. The blue sphere of energy in front of the ship continued growing. Larger, brighter, more powerful. It looked like a small star forming in the darkness of space. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, every leader was standing now. No one sat anymore. The entire galaxy was watching the same transmission. Everyone could feel the tension. The human fleet was strong, but the enemy numbers were endless. If this weapon failed, the galaxy might fall. The human voice from the earlier transmission returned one last time. It was calm, steady. For centuries, humanity guarded the outer dark. The council listened carefully. We believed the galaxy was not ready to know the truth. The hologram showed images of past battles, human fleets fighting in hidden regions of space, entire human armadas lost near dead stars, destroyed warships drifting silently through empty systems. The voice continued, every cycle they return. Every cycle they try to enter the galaxy again. The patrol fleet commander whispered quietly, so the humans stopped them every time. The human voice answered as if it had heard him. Yes. Another image appeared. Thousands of human ships forming battle lines. Generations of human soldiers fighting the same enemy again and again. For hundreds of years, the voice continued, we fought this war alone. The council leader lowered his head, because now he understood something terrible. While the galaxy believed humans were expanding too quickly, humanity had actually been building defenses for everyone. The human voice spoke one final sentence. But today, the galaxy will finally see why. At that exact moment, the energy sphere in front of the flagship stopped growing. It had reached its maximum size, a brilliant blue star floating in front of the human ship. The patrol fleet sensors could barely process the power. Then the flagship fired. The beam that came from the ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was not a simple laser. It was not a missile. It looked like a massive wave of pure energy. The wave spread across space like a storm of light. When it reached the enemy fleet, the darkness simply disappeared. Entire groups of enemy ships vanished instantly. Not broken, not damaged. They were erased from existence. The patrol fleet officers stared in shock. The wave continued moving forward. Hundreds of thousands of enemy ships were destroyed in seconds. The entire invasion line collapsed. The dark fleet began to scatter. For the first time since the battle began, the enemy was retreating. The human fleet immediately moved forward. Their ships pushed deeper into the remaining enemy formation. Blue weapons fired again and again. Human warships hunted the retreating vessels across the stars. The battle lasted for hours. Slowly, the enemy numbers began shrinking. Millions became thousands. Thousands became hundreds. And finally, the last dark ships vanished into the deep darkness beyond the galaxy. The war was over. Silence returned to space. The human fleet slowly regrouped near the edge of the galaxy. The patrol fleet watched quietly. They had just seen something no civilization had ever witnessed before. The true power of humanity. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, no one spoke. Many leaders looked ashamed. Others looked afraid. The council leader finally stood. His voice was quiet. We tried to control them. The Korvac commander nodded slowly. Yes. Another council member whispered. And they were protecting us the entire time. A final human transmission appeared across the council chamber. The same calm voice spoke again. The invasion has been stopped. The council listened carefully. For now, the human voice paused for a moment. Then it continued. The enemy will return again someday. The council leader asked quietly, and what will humanity do then? The human voice answered without hesitation. The same thing we have always done. The transmission ended with one final message, a sentence that soon spread across the entire galaxy. Humanity does not seek war, but if the darkness returns, we will be waiting. The transmission ended. The council chamber remained silent. Every leader in the galaxy now understood the truth. Humanity had never been the galaxy's problem. Humanity had been its shield. And the council had almost made the greatest mistake in galactic history, because they had tried to weaken the one civilization that had been protecting them all along. Far away, near the dark border of the galaxy, the human fleets slowly turned and began returning home. Their work was done, for now. But somewhere beyond the cold stars, in the deep darkness outside the galaxy, something ancient had just learned a dangerous lesson. Humanity was no longer a young species. Humanity was the guardian of the galaxy. And if the darkness ever returned again, it would awaken something far more terrifying, humanity's unstoppable fury.